The next morning we wake up early, like usual. After getting ready and packing my things, I meet the rest of the team downstairs. Amelia's parents wait for us by the door as we finish gathering our things. Her mother's lips tremble as she watches us pack.
Are you sure you need to leave so soon?
Leanna smiles softly.
I wish we could stay longer, but we must be going. Thank you very much for your hospitality.
Of course. You're all welcome here at any time.
Amelia's mom hands us parcels.
I packed all of you some food for your journey.
Oh, we couldn't possibly.
She tuts and forces the parcels into our hands.
I won't take no for an answer.
Amelia packs hers without protest, and the rest of us follow suit. We turn to her family one last time before leaving.
Thank you again.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for having us.
Thanks! It was nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Farewell, Mother. Father.
Her mother squeezes each of us in a big hug. When she hugs Leanna, she pauses.
Please take care of our daughter.
I will.
After one final goodbye, we leave their house and make our way back towards the town. We pass the inn and other shops, but we don't make any stops. Eventually, we pass through the town gates. We continue down the familiar dirt path surrounded by greenery. Most of our journey is uneventful. I've become more accustomed to the walking and the silences, but I still wish the journeys to our destination weren't so long. It can get pretty boring. Just as I think that, something darts in front of me. Huh! I lunge for whatever it is, and my hands brush against its fur as I reach for its tail. It evades my grasp and hops into a bush. The pongo waddles over to the bush and watches it curiously.
Boy?
The bush remains still. The pongo cocks its head to the side.
Boy?
Then he sticks his head into the bush. He immediately retreats as a claw swipes at him. He rushes back to me and hides behind my leg.
Boy!
He huffs. I mean, you did just go and bother it. The pongo pouts, looking betrayed.
Boy!
Sorry, Pongo. You know I've always got your back. He perks up.
Boy!
So, what was that thing?
It's a sabali!
Leanna seems more excited than usual to see an animal. What's that?
Basically an overgrown rodent.
Untrue. Sabali are not part of the rodent family.
They're way cuter than rodents.
I didn't get a very good look at the thing when I raced by. But what is it? Because from what I saw, it looked like kind of like a baby bear with long claws and a very long tail.
That's a pretty accurate description, actually.
They're very rare. Since you saw one, you're going to have good luck.
Zach looks unimpressed.
I don't see how lucky it can be if it almost tripped him up.
Well, they tend to hide from people. If one lets you spot it, then that must mean you're special. Such superstitions originated back when primitive societies were learning to recognize dangerous species from harmless ones. Because the sabali feed on insects and small rodents many would deem to be pests, they are recognized as a harmless and even helpful animal. As such, many humans wish to domesticate them as pets. But the sabali are timid creatures and shy away from most other animals, especially ones which are considered threatening. Thus, the sabali were regarded as lucky due to the difficult nature of witnessing one. In reality, there is no luck involved.
I see. Carl pouts playfully at Amelia.
Aw, come on, Amy. Let them keep their superstitions.
Amelia's eyes widen.
Amy?
Sure, that's your name, right? It's what your parents called you.
It is, but
Amelia pauses, then seems to regain her composure.
my name is Amelia.
Does calling you Amy bother you?
Amelia seems uncertain.
I did not mean to imply that it is a bother. It is merely a surprise.
Aw, well, don't worry, Amy. It's a cute name.
Amelia fidgets, as Leanna calls her Amy. She tries to speak, but for once, seems flustered.
Well, it seems that
Let's leave Amy alone and move on.
We stare at Zach.
What?
You called her Amy.
It's shorter than 3 syllables. Why wouldn't I call her that if she's okay with it?
Amelia sighs.
well, if that is what you prefer, then I suppose you may call me as such.
Kara grins and pats Amelia on the head.
I knew you'd come around.
Amelia at first blinks in confusion. As Kara continues to head pat her, she doesn't really seem to know what to do with herself. Eventually, she just lets it happen. Although Amelia tries to act cool, the touch of pink in her cheeks gives away her true thoughts. I think she likes the nickname. Since everyone else is calling her Amy, I guess I may as well too. Plus, as Zach said, it's shorter than the alternative.
Anyway, let's get going.
We resume our journey. For the next 3 days, we travel on foot during the day and make camp at night. Leanna continues my casting trainings, but I've made no progress. I've begun to feel discouraged, and although she tries hard to hide it, I can sense the frustration Leanna feels. Why am I having such a difficult time casting? There must be something I'm missing. Since Leanna won't give up on my trainings, I resolve to push past my disappointment and continue to focus myself. On the 4th day, we travel the entire day and set up camp in the evening. As we've done in all our past trainings, Zach, Kara, and Amelia take care of the setup, while Leanna and I find an open area to train. I still dread whenever it's time to train, as I haven't shown any progress. It's starting to feel like a useless chore at this point.
Ready?
I reluctantly nod.
All right. Just like we've practiced, focus on channeling through the manipulator.
As I've done many times before, I try to do exactly what Leanna says. Just like all the previous attempts, it doesn't work.
You've got this. You just have to focus.
I'm focusing. I strain with all my might, simultaneously trying to figure out what exactly I'm supposed to be focusing on and wondering if this is all actually bogus anyway. Leanna watches me intently, waiting for the spark of magic which doesn't appear. I let go and breathe out in frustration.
Try again.
Have we considered the possibility that only humans from Terra can cast? Leanna's voice is firm.
Just try again.
With a heavy sigh, I bring up my hand again and try again. As is expected, nothing happens. This is completely pointless. I lower my hand. Maybe I'm just not meant to cast. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind pushes me off my feet and knocks me to the ground. Leanna glares at me, a fierce look on her face.
Get up.
I cough as I catch my breath and push myself to my feet. What the heck? Leanna raises her arm again.
Deflect this.
What does she mean by deflect? I can't use my sword to stop a gust of wind. I end up taking another hit and sway unsteadily on my feet.
I said deflect.
I balk at the sternness in her tone. Her entire demeanor has changed from that calm and patient teacher to a dangerous mage knight. What's gotten into you? She ignores me and aims another shot of magic. This time I jump out of the way, but she is relentless. She lines up another shot. I don't know what you mean by deflect! Leanna sends another gust after me, which I only narrowly dodge. Before I can get my bearings, another shot of magic comes at me. And then another. Would you just... And another. Hold on! And another. My breathing is short, and anger warms my blood. She's shooting off wind blasts so quickly I don't have time to think or move. Her attacks are relentless, and keeps knocking me down. Another gust of wind soars towards me. Leanna, stop! I take that blast, and although it's just as powerful as the others, this time I maintain my footing.
That's not deflecting.
She frowns in concentration as she ramps up another attack. Then she lets loose another gust of wind. I try to block with my arms, but this blast is stronger than the last, and it hurls me into the air. I crash painfully on the ground, but force down the pain and get back onto my feet. My breathing is ragged, and my body is sore. Leanna is already channeling another attack. I don't know what's gotten into her, but I can't keep taking these hits. As she launches another attack, the anger bubbles inside of me and I bowls over. I throw out my hand and feel the anger shoot down my arm and out of my glowing manipulator in a gust of wind which knocks the blast away. Leanna gasps and drops her attacks.
You did it!
I stare at my arm too, bewildered to even comprehend what is happening. Suddenly, Leanna is laughing loudly. As things calm down, I notice the rest of the group is already here. They must have heard the commotion.
He cast it?
Leanna grins broadly.
He did! He finally cast!
That's amazing!
That wind magic, it came from me. The realization slowly dawns on me. I casted that. My eyes grow wide, and I split into a huge grin. Yes! I can't believe I did it! Leanna's grinning from ear to ear. Even Zach cracks a small smile and nods. Amelia watches us curiously.
I assume you used the technique which we had previously discussed.
Wait. What? Leanna looks sheepish and refuses to make eye contact. What technique? The high from my casting begins to wear off, and I remember the mix of anger and confusion I felt from the attacks. You mean you guys thought it would be a good idea to randomly just start attacking me? Leanna shakes her head, looking a mixture of worried and guilty. Amelia calmly responds.
Indeed.
I didn't expect her to so bluntly agree. Why?
You were making no progress on your training, and I believed a new strategy was necessary. One such method is to utilize the ingrained need for survival. When placed in high stress, dangerous situations, the human body will use all its resources to ensure survival. By putting you in such a situation, your response to protect yourself enabled you to tap into the manipulator and channel energy.
I consider what Amelia said. Everything happened so fast, but once I realized there was no way to talk my way out of Leanna's attacks, I knew there was only one way out.
I'm really sorry. Amelia felt this was the best way for you to learn since you didn't seem to be getting it my way.
She trails off.
I hope I wasn't too hard on you.
Obviously, I'm not happy to have been surprised by this, but I will admit that it's an effective method. Leanna looks hopeful.
Does that mean you forgive me?
I nod. She smiles as she sighs in relief. So, what now? Should I try it again?
Are you feeling up to it? If you need to take a break, we can do that.
I think I should be okay. As the words leave my mouth, my arm stings, and I feel a wet spot on my elbow. When I look down, I notice blood on my shirt. Leanna gasps.
You're bleeding!
I twist my arm, trying to see the damage. You don't say!
Hold on, I brought bandages.
It's really not big a deal. She races back to camp and grabs a roll of gauze from her pack. When she returns, she kneels beside me and reaches for my arm. I move my arm out of her grasp. I'm okay, really. This is just a scratch. Based on the level of bleeding, I can tell it's more than a scratch. So, can Leanna? Leanna, she shakes her head.
It's my fault you got hurt.
Without taking no for an answer, she grabs my arm and takes a look. This time, I don't bother resisting. Gently, she dabs at the blood with a damp cloth. I try not to wince from the sting.
I'm sorry. I'll try to be gentle.
You're fine. Her hands are warm and delicate, and for a moment I forget that she's doing what she's doing, and I can only feel her touch. Her gentle fingers deftly wrap the gauze around my arm, and after she secures it, she lets her hands fall back into her lap. I feel a split second of disappointment as I let my arm fall beside me.
There, good as new.
I move my arm back and forth experimentally. The gauze holds pretty well. Thanks. She smiles warmly.
No problem.
I get to my feet and return to camp. After we've all had a chance to eat and relax, we get ready for bed. For once, as soon as I lay down my head, exhaustion overtakes me and I fall right to sleep. We wake up the next morning and continue our travels. After my last burst of magic, I've tried to replicate that feeling of casting. Although I'm finally seeing improvement, I still can't cast as well as I'd hoped. The result of my casting is just a weak tendril of magic, but at least it's something. Leanna's spirits have been lifted too, and she continues my training with renewed enthusiasm. A couple of days pass before the trees become denser as we reach the woods. We must be on the right track. At first the walk is easy as the trees line a well-worn path, but the deeper into the forest we traverse, the more careful we become of our step, as the wild undergrowth tangles our legs. The pongo wobbles unsteadily over the roots and debris on the ground, then hops onto my shoulder.
Boy, boy.
The canopy overhead thickens, blocking out much of the sunlight. Leanna glances uneasily around her. Noticing Leanna, Zack glances around too and becomes grave.
I think we stumbled into the Forest of Grieving.
Leanna balks.
Grieving?
The pongo looks concerned.
Boy, boy?
Zack nods. Kara looks curiously at Zack, then watches Leanna gaze suspiciously around her. She seems to put two and two together and grins mischievously.
Isn't that the one with all the trapped souls?
Leanna's eyes widen and her voice trembles.
Trapped souls?
Don't listen to them. They're just teasing you. Leanna blinks.
What?
No, this is real. I mean, Kara, you've heard of it, right?
Kara nods.
Yep, the souls get trapped because...
Leanna puts her hands over her ears.
La 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 la! I don't want to hear this!
Amelia puts her hands on her hips.
Evidently, Zack, you were misinformed as there is no such place as the Forest of Grieving.
No, there definitely is a Forest of Grieving. Right, Kara?
Absolutely.
If that is true, it is certainly not here.
Leanna pouts, her face bright red.
You guys are the worst!
She rushes closer to Amelia and pointedly ignores Zoc and Kara, who pretend to hide their amusement. The Pongo shoots the two of them dirty looks.
Poi! That's right, Pongo.
She scoops him into her arms and hugs him into her chest. The Pongo doesn't protest. We continue to walk in silence. As we venture further within the forest, the air feels thick and heavy. The canopy thins, but the trees themselves have knotted and thick bark, making them seem very old. They brighten with an ethereal blue-green illuminance. Does anyone feel that? The Pongo squirms in Leanna's grasp and hops out to explore the forest.
This place is loaded with magical energy.
Is that why it's glowing?
The natural formation of crystals is what gives it its coloration.
I take my time admiring the natural beauty of the place. It feels like a scene from a fairy tale. Peeking out from behind a tree is a small pink Pongo. My Pongo hops over to her, and when she realizes she's been spotted, she hops out into view and tilts her head curiously.
Boy? Boy!
The pink Pongo looks over at Leanna and gives her a wide grin. Leanna gasps and hops closer to her.
Boy! How cute!
She reaches out towards the pink Pongo, who hops into her arms.
Aw, she likes me!
Leanna squeals excitedly and hugs her close.
Boy?
Another Pongo peeks out from behind a bush and hops over to Leanna. Her grin grows even wider. She opens her arms and the Pongo hops in, much to Leanna's delight.
Another Pongo! Boy! 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 What?
Even more Pongos pop out from behind the trees and bushes and begin to surround Leanna, who watches them with joy.
So many Pongos!
She reaches out to all of them, and they each openly receive her affection.
Boy? Boy?
The chorus of boys increase, and even more emerge, and soon even Leanna is overwhelmed by the sheer number of Pongos. Zack stands as close to the edge of the trees as possible, and as far away from the Pongos as possible. His hands hover protectively over his discharges as he eyes the Pongos suspiciously. Amelia moves from Pongo to Pongo, seemingly studying the variations. Kara joins in and plays with the Pongos closest to her. As even more Pongos filter out of the clearing, Leanna's eyes fill with tears.
Too many Pongos!
Oh no. Leanna, are you okay? Her smile is still as wide as ever as she kneels on the ground, holding as many Pongos as she can in her arms, but the tears continue to flow. She speaks between sobs.
I can't hug them all!
Kara comes over and puts a comforting arm around her.
It's okay. Just hug as many as you can.
Leanna sniffles and nods. My Pongo looks up at me with a wondering gaze. I look down at him and smile. Don't worry, you're the only Pongo I need. He beams and hops into my arms, then nuzzles me affectionately. From among the Pongos emerges a Pongo larger than the others. He has a twist of leaves which he wears around his head as he passes. All the other Pongos seem to settle down in reverence. He pauses in front of Leanna.
Boy?
Leanna blinks.
Boy!
That was a long string of boys. She seems to be the expert on Pongo stuff. I certainly have no idea what's going on. The Pongo steps up to the larger Pongo and speaks in a series of poise.
Boy. Boy.
The larger Pongo seems surprised and nods.
Boy. Boy. Boy.
Turns around and hops deeper into the forest. My Pongo faces us.
Boy.
He tilts his head to indicate the forest, then follows the larger Pongo. Should we follow them? Zack shrugs, but Leanna nods.
Yeah, I think we should. At the very least, we can't leave him.
What if he's leading us to danger?
It would seem that the other Pongos respect the larger Pongo. He may be the equivalent of a king or other authority figure. If he wished us harm, we would already know.
Besides, the most harm a Pongo can do is cuddle us.
We better get a move on before we lose them. We follow the Pongos further into the forest. Some of the other Pongos tag along, popping in and out of the trees. I've never seen so many Pongos in one place before. What are they all doing here? Eventually, we stop in front of a crumbling stone structure.
Boy.
The Pongo leader nods.
Boy. Boy.
It would seem the Pongos have escorted us to the temple we seek.
How do they know? Can they understand us?
More than likely, our Pongo friend inquired as to the reason for the migration of so many Pongos in one area. He must have been curious about their source of energy, which just happens to be the Earth Temple.
I narrow my eyes at Amelia. This seems very coincidental. Do you speak Pongo?
No, but that rationale should be common sense.
Zack snorts and tries to cover it up. I look back at the temple. It clearly hasn't been touched in a long time, and half of it's falling apart. Is it safe to go in there? Kara seems excited.
Only one way to find out.
She marches towards the temple.
But what about the Pongos? Won't they be upset?
Especially considering we intend to absorb the energy.
The temples were built over areas of naturally high concentrations of energy, so the temples continuously amass energy at an accelerated rate. Therefore, the amount which we will absorb will be replenished fast enough to not adversely affect the Pongo's ecosystem.
Why don't people live near these pockets of continuous energy?
The only energy we are able to manipulate is extracted from crystals. This form of energy, which resides in the air, cannot be manipulated or absorbed by humans.
She pauses.
Humans of Terra, that is. In contrast, Pongos are able to absorb all forms of energy, including airborne.
I see. Either way, it sounds like the Pongos will be okay. Leanna nods, and we follow Kara. The Pongos make no move to stop us, but continue to watch us curiously.
Come on!
We approach the temple's entrance. The temple structure, at least what remains of it, reminds me of the one from the fire temple. It's built with an open front, and I can see where the altars may have stood in the past. Now it's just weathered stone. The columns are still holding up, but I watch them precariously, untrusting of their stability. Vibrant green moss camouflages the gray stones. I have to admit, the view is quite impressive. Kara takes the lead and steps carefully on the stones, obviously testing for traps. The rest of us hang back and let her explore without distraction. Leanna holds on to the Pongo, who seems eager to explore with Kara. After circling through the temple, she returns to us, perplexed.
Based on the design of the fire temple, I figured the Earth Temple would have more traps. Or even just one trap, but I found 0.
Then we should definitely stay on our guard.
Are you doubting my abilities?
No! I just meant...
Kara giggles.
I know. I'm just teasing.
Zack grumbles and crosses his arms. Amelia steps up to the temple and starts to have a careful look around. The rest of us slowly fill her in too. The Pongo hops out of Leanna's arms and bounces excitedly into the temple. Amy fidgets with her manipulator, much to the curiosity of Leanna.
What are you checking?
I am searching for any anomalies in these magical readings. The barrier from the last temple resonated a unique signature. If such a thing were to exist here as well, it is highly likely to lead us to the Earth Elemental.
Kara shakes her head in wonder.
I still can't believe the elementals are real.
I wouldn't jump so fast to that conclusion.
Seriously? Did you forget about our journey to the Fire Temple?
I didn't. But I don't remember me or the rest of you seeing the fire elemental. Except him.
Zack gives me a painted look.
He wouldn't have a reason to lie about it.
Exposure to large quantities of magical energy can potentially cause hallucinations. There have been documented cases of such events transpiring.
Whether they are real or not, it doesn't really matter, so long as the energy I'm absorbing can help create a rift. Amelia nods, continues to poke around on her manipulator.
There appears to be a strange pattern regarding energy distribution.
A sudden rumble from above breaks our attention. The rocks shift precariously, then crack, and come crashing down above me.
Look out!
Leanna tackles the bolt out of the way, just as the rock smashes down, leaving a heavy split in the stones on the ground. I land hard on my body, erupts and aches.
Are you okay?
Leanna props herself on top of me and peers down with a worried look.
Sorry. I channeled my wind energy into reaching you in time, and I didn't even think about softening the landing.
I stare at her. You just saved my life, and you're apologizing over something like that? Leanna looks a little surprised, but then lets out a smile. Are you okay?
Yeah, thankfully the brunt of my fall was broken by...
Her voice trails off. Her cheeks redden when she realizes she's straddling me. She quickly picks herself up. Oh, I actually didn't mind us being like that. I wince as I carefully push myself to my feet. Leanna's attention is on the mountain of rocks sectioning us off from the rest of the team.
Hey! Can you guys hear us?
Kara's voice is muted from the other side of the brick wall. We're fine. What happened?
The structure collapsed from the instability of the ruins. I would advise caution moving forward.
Hi, boy?
The Pongo's voice is very small. Pongo!
Don't worry. He's safe here with us.
Speaking of moving, how are we gonna get these stones moved?
Stand to the side. I'll move them with my magic.
Leanna motions me to move back and I comply. Her gauntlet flickers to life as she channels her wind energy. At first, the rocks refuse to budge, but Leanna keeps trying. Sweat beads on her face as she tries to concentrate, but even after a few more attempts, she's unable to move any of the rocks to break the wall.
I can't seem to move any of the stones.
The frustration is evident in her voice. It's weird that she can't move any of the stones at all. I hear some shuffling on the other end, and I assume it's Amy using her manipulator scan.
Interesting. It appears these are no ordinary stones. They are shielded with magic.
What does that mean?
The magic they are shielded with are dampening any other outside magical efforts.
That's not good.
However, in light of this new information, I am able to adjust the type of reading necessary to override the wall's magic block. By doing so, I am able to plot out the navigation of this temple as the ruins emit energy. Based on our current locale, our paths will converge in a short time if we move further in.
That sounds like a plan to me.
Let's get going then.
Leanna and I look at each other and nod. We start heading in the direction Amy provided. We stick close together and keep cautious eye on our surroundings. Leanna periodically checks her manipulator. Looking for something?
I'm following Amy's energy signature to make sure we're both going in the same direction. So far, we're still on the right path, and should be converging with them soon enough.
That's good. I put my hands behind my head. Hey. I forgot to thank you earlier for saving me. Thanks. Leanna smiles.
You did the same for me.
Huh?
Raven Pass, remember? When we fought the treasurer.
Oh, that. I guess so, but I only pushed you out of the way back then. In hindsight, I probably should have divvied out of the way instead of, eating the blast full force.
Moving out of the way would have been a better idea, but it was heroic nonetheless.
Leanna smirks.
Besides, you find yourself in trouble so often that saving you has kind of become second nature.
Wow. Rude. Leanna giggles. She seems to be in better spirits as we continue traveling. We turn a corner and find ourselves in a slightly open area. I notice a bit of movement from the corner of my eyes, but when I look over, all I see are the same mossy vines which were covering the entrance at the temple, too. That's strange.
The energy reading here is higher than usual.
What's up? Leanna goes to draw her sword.
It's not dormant like everywhere else. I'm scanning active energy here.
Before I can react, vines shoot up from the stones and ruins and converge straight towards Leanna. She gasps and attempts to swing at the incoming vines, but there are too many of them. As they entangle her limbs, she loses the grip on her sword, and it clatters to the ground.
What is this?
For some reason, the vines only target Leanna, and have kept a berth around me. Maybe the trap was only sensitive to energy manipulation. Thankfully, I wasn't casting. Leanna struggles to break free in vain as the vines lift her off the ground.
Help me down!
I pull out my sword, but the vines twist and tangle around each other, which makes Leanna a moving target too. The last thing I want to do is accidentally cut her as I'm trying to cut the vines. It might be best that I wait, right? I dash forward and with skillful precision slice down the vines. As my sword cuts through the vines, they writhe and shrink away from Leanna until she's able to wiggle free. Unfortunately, more vines emerge and head straight for me. I cut them as they approach, but there are too many of them and I struggle to keep up. Just as the vines are about to encircle me, I spot the familiar glow of a blade carved trails of light through the vines. Leanna is a blur as she methodically slices the vines with an accuracy and speed I strive to mimic. Before long, all the vines lay in motionless pieces on the ground. Well then!
This never happened. Got it?
She glares at me despite her burning cheeks. Yes, ma'am.
Let's hurry up and get going then.
Leanna doesn't wait for me as she continues down the path. I jog to catch up to her. Leanna is extra cautious and keeps her blade at the ready as we continue down the path. Thankfully, without further incident, we spot the rest of the group waiting for us on the converging path.
You guys made it!
The Pongo bounces over to me and leaps into my arms. Hey, buddy. Kara beams and waves us over. She blinks when she gets a better look at us.
Whoa. Did something happen?
Leanna clears her throat as a subtle pink tinge reaches her cheeks.
Nothing at all. Isn't that right?
She shoots me a warning glare. Right. Nothing. Kara looks back at what's between us and then grins.
Oh, I get it. I mean, you two were alone after all.
Leanna's cheeks flare.
No, it's not what you're thinking.
Kara winks.
Right. Nothing happened.
Leanna mumbles something incoherent as she pushes past Kara.
What is with everyone's overly active imaginations today?
The group looks to me for answers. Yeah, nothing happened. Let's get going?
I concur. It would be advisable not to spend any more time than necessary here.
Alright, let's go.
Hoi poi.
Don't worry about it. Pongo shrugs as he hops onto my head. With Leanna leading the way, we continue moving forward. We continue down the path of the Earth Temple. We finally make it to the core of the temple. The center of the temple is a lot different than the rest of the place. For one, it's not crumbling apart. Birds filter across the sky, and there is a lush greenery all around. Sitting in the middle of the garden is a beautiful woman. Her dress is the same green as the plants, and there's something about her that feels warm, inviting, and alive. The sounds of voices of my friends fade away as I'm filled with the tranquility and beauty of nature surrounding me. She raises her hand, and at her touch I feel a sense of calm and peace. Just like at the fire temple, I can feel the revitalizing effect of the energy absorption. The more energy I absorb, the more translucent the elemental becomes, until, with a small smile, she disappears. Slowly, the scenic nature view fades from my senses, and I'm pulled back to the crumbling ruins of the temple, and the curious faces of my friends. Amy and Leanna hover by me as the Pongo looks up at me from the ground.
Hoi?
His pupil dilation is returning to normal.
Are you feeling okay? You completely zoned out there.
I nod. I still feel dazed as the remnants of tranquility begin to fade.
Did you see the Earth Elemental?
I did! This time, though, it felt different. When the energy was channeling into me at the fire temple, I felt a rush of passion and strength. This time, it felt more of a sense of peace and calmness.
I can confirm you did absorb a substantial quantity of energy. However, your mention of feeling emotions based on absorbing differing elemental energy is quite fascinating. It is something which has never been reported before, given that humans of Terra cannot absorb energy. Once your senses have fully returned to normal, I would appreciate discussing in greater detail what exactly you experienced during the actual absorption of energy.
Sure, we can talk about it later. Where are Zach and Kara? As if on cue, the two of them appear, each holding bags filled with what I would assume to be whatever loot could be found.
Don't mind us. We just went on a little all-you-can-grab treasure buffet.
She grins and opens her pouch to hand something to Amy.
Here, I found this.
She hands Amelia an ancient tome.
I figured you might be interested in this sort of thing.
Amy carefully turns the pages of the book with great interest.
This is written in ancient Gaian script, a language of which I have studied, but of which I am not fluent.
She smiles at Kara.
Thank you.
Kara pats her on the head.
You're most welcome.
A rumble above interrupts us. We all tense up and go on high alert, but no rock slide occurs this time.
It looks like we got everything we need from here. Let's head out before another cave-in blocks our exit.
We all agree, and still on high alert, make our way out of the temple as quickly as we can. We make it out of the temple and back into the forest. The sunlight shimmers through the trees, making me wince and blink. Leanna lets out a deep, relieved breath.
We made it.
Now that we have successfully made it through the temple, let us not forget our purpose for coming here.
We look at Amelia with curiosity. She gestures to me.
His energy reading has increased substantially. Perhaps it is now possible for him to open a temporal rift.
You want to try that now? A grin spreads across Amelia's face.
Indeed.
This place is pretty barren. I suppose we can try it here. Kara blinks.
Oh, you're doing that again.
She shuffles away, and away, and away, until she's behind a tree.
Keeping watch again?
You know it.
Zach creates a bit of distance too, but not as much as Kara. Leanna and Amelia look at me.
Are you ready?
Kara's voice is far away.
Wait!
She races back, scoops up the pongo, who gives a little squeak in protest, then sprints back to her tree. Finally, she gives a thumbs up.
Okay, good to go.
Alright, let's try it. Just do what you did last time, except now you can focus and channel your energy.
Amelia, who is standing beside her, nods. I close my eyes and try to focus on creating a rift. I bring up in my mind the images of what I saw first when I entered Terra. I inhale and exhale slowly as I try to draw in on that peace I felt when I met the Earth Elemental. I remember the scent of wildflowers, the fluttering of birds, the creaking of trees. It fills me with a soft, gentle calm and spreads throughout the rest of my body. Odd, tranquil stillness fills my mind.
Keep going. Visualize your cast.
My brows furrow. I see a dark shape peeling away at the sky. And suddenly a hot surge of energy flashes down my arm. There's a loud crack, followed by a hiss. I open my eyes. A churning wind pours out of my manipulator and swirls about the dirt and grass. The trees groan and sway. I try to keep the wind stable, but it's just too strong. The muscles in my arms strain with effort. The wind whips about Leanna's hair and clothes. My cast is more powerful than before, but still unrefined.
You are nervous and panicking. Ease your mind and calm yourself.
Right. Don't panic. Don't panic. My heart lurches. Anxiety coils in my
You
stomach.
may stop now.
I do as she says. The wind snarls and then smooths to a gentle breeze. The last bit of it skims through the grass and then vanishes, quick as a butterfly flutter. My arm dangles at my sides. They feel as if they've been pulled down by heavy weights. I take in deep breaths, my heart still pounding. I cringe and look up at the two. How did I do? Leanna hesitates.
That was...
A failure.
Amelia!
Amy blinks in surprise.
Is that not what you're going to say? He was unable to create the rift.
Leanna sighs and crosses her arms.
He did better than his first try. He actually cast something this time.
Amelia blinks again.
I see. I suppose there was some improvement.
She taps her chin in thought.
I believe your magic training should involve bettering your accuracy and honing your focus. At this point, we are still unsure if the inability to create the rift is from your lack of energy or technique.
Right. I puff out a defeated sigh. It seems that I still have a long way to go.
Hey, where did Zach go?
Huh? I look up. Zach isn't anywhere in sight. That's weird. I glance around. Deep in the forest, I see a rustle of something black. I squint. Maybe it's Zach's trench coat. I zero in and see Zach and Kara peeking behind the same tree. Hey! When'd you get all the way back there? Zach's voice is faint.
You couldn't control it. No way was I gonna stand there if you went splat. This coat is not easy to clean.
My jaw gives a little tweak. Thanks for the vote of confidence! Kara grins and claps her hands. She shouts for us to hear.
You put on quite the show. Glad I wasn't there for it, though.
Leanna frowns.
Okay, it's done now. Can you guys come back?
Kara skips over. Zach follows with his arms crossed.
So, where to next?
According to Elderison's notes, Ellendale is the closest city located to where the ancient people worshipped the air elemental. I believe we will be able to uncover more information from the library there.
Kara smiles and ruffles Amy's hair.
Sounds great, Amy.
Amelia flushes. She coughs and then glances away.
Let us be on our way.
We hike out of the forest and find a new path. Amy leads us north, and we begin traveling on foot for the rest of the day. My legs ache, and by the time the sun starts to disappear, I'm ready to collapse. Maybe I'm still feeling the effects of trying to cast earlier, but all of this walking is making me even more exhausted than usual. We keep walking until we find a good campsite. Leanna says the large open space would be good space for me to practice my wind magic in the morning. Amelia sparks a small campfire for us. Zach cooks up another delicious dinner, and by the time I'm done, I can barely keep my eyes open. The rest of the group is still up talking, but as soon as I lay my head down, I tumble into a deep, fast sleep.